Welcome to Analytical Media. We are a consortium, a group of therapists, college professors, well-published, peer-reviewed authors, all academics. Today we're going to talk about the unpublicized, little-known treatment for depression and anxiety by Carl Gustav Jung. Jungian psychology is considered a humanistic psychology. It is very similar to Abraham Maslow and other humanists. However, Jungian psychology is known uniquely, specifically as analytical psychology. It's not a coincidence that our name, Analytical Media, is very similar to the name for Jungian psychology, analytical psychology. It's not a coincidence because we are all humanists of sorts. Depends how it's divided up and how you think of it and how you want to label things. We understand Jungian psychology. Behind me on a set of bookshelves, floor-to-ceiling bookshelves, we have the total work of Jung. His entire collection, his collected works. We have his seldom seen read book. Jung talked about a process known as individuation. Maslow talks about a process known as self-actualization. Both are very similar, very, very little difference between the two. And here's the technique. Jung believes that deep inside you, in your unconscious mind, that's the part that takes over at night. That's the place where you go at night. Have you ever thought about it? You're looking at the clock, you're trying to fall asleep, so you go to bed at 11 o'clock. It's a little earlier than normal for you, and maybe you have to get up early. So you're trying to go to bed a little bit earlier. You look at the clock, you're proud of yourself for going to bed early. Now this will be good. Now you'll get all your sleep, you'll get your 7 hours. This is all going to work out well for you. And then you look at the clock, and only a few minutes have passed. It's 5 after 11. And then you lay there, think about things, put things in your head. What are you going to do tomorrow? How are you going to do them? Think about this or that. You're just laying there thinking, and you look at the clock, and it's a quarter after 11, which is a little bit disappointing because you wanted to be asleep at 11 o'clock or close to it. You look at the clock again, it's 11:30, and you're bored. You are bored to death. You got nothing left to think about. You'd put the TV on, but you're afraid that would keep you up all night. You want to go to sleep. And then it seems like an hour's gone by. You look at the clock, it's now 11:45. Time stretched. What seemed like an hour was really just 15 minutes. You think about some stuff. You look at the clock again, it's 5 minutes to 12. And then you look at the clock again, it's 7 o'clock. Think about it. When you laid in that bed and you were awake, you were conscious, time dragged on. What happened? Every 15 minutes seemed like an hour. And now, in a blink of an eye, it goes from 12 o'clock to 7 o'clock in the morning. 7 hours. In the blink of an eye. Isn't that the way it feels? Well, you, the conscious mind, was trying to go to sleep at 11:30, quarter after 11, 11 o'clock, 5 to 12. The conscious mind, that's you, could not control sleep. It just waited and time dragged on. It was boring. But there was no time passing between 12 o'clock and 7 in the morning. It seems like a blink of the eye. Where did you, the conscious mind, go that's back again at 7? Tired, eyes a little sore. Your eyes weren't sore an hour ago. Your back wasn't sore an hour ago. You weren't tired an hour ago. You were fine, but you're here now, and you can feel that pain, that bad knee you have, a little stiffness in the back. You're back. The conscious mind is back. Where did it go for those 7 hours? It went into the unconscious mind. And if you can remember anything about the unconscious mind, where you were, you might see some fascinating things, fascinating pictures, sounds, movies, conversations with people, adventures, trips, other houses you live in. That's where you were. You were in the unconscious mind. Remember, you are the conscious mind. You can enter the unconscious mind. Lots of things are in the unconscious mind. The anima, the animus, archetypes of various kinds, an enormous amount of information. Freud described the relationship of the conscious mind to the unconscious mind this way. The conscious mind is just the tip of the iceberg. You know that 98%, 99% of the iceberg is underwater. It's underwater, you can't see it. The part that's under the water, that's the unconscious mind. That's how big and vast and powerful the unconscious mind is. You are the very tip of that iceberg, the little bit that is above the water. And you've heard that expression, I'm sure. Your husband, wife, son, daughter comes home and says, "Hey, I had a flat tire and we had to call a tow truck." And you say, "Wow, that's too bad." And he says, "Wait, that was just the tip of the iceberg." That means, what's that mean? It means that there's so much more bad stuff coming your way. You haven't heard anything yet. That's what that means. In the unconscious mind lives the self. It's like the archetype of you, your archetype. You know, we have different types of archetypes, and we'll do videos on those. We have the anima, the animus, the hero, the prince, the king. We have thousands of archetypes. And we have no idea of what is in there. We only know what used to be in the unconscious mind. You dream about a house, a nice home, a beautiful home, a home you live in, not the home you live in consciously, but when you live in unconsciously. Could be in another country, another state. Now, we know it used to be in the unconscious, but it doesn't tell us what's in the unconscious. We've got to take it, we know that house used to be in the unconscious, and we can list it as such, but if I said to you, what is in your unconscious mind, you don't know. There could be no more homes, there could be 10,000 more homes. You don't know. There could be other families, other people, other boyfriends, girlfriends, all in the unconscious mind. And we don't know that it's in there until we take it out to see it. Now, what we have in the unconscious mind is an archetype known as the self. It's the self. It's the real you. It's your archetype. And an archetype is like a formula. It defines things. It describes things. It limits things. It's very much like a formula that reduces something down to its significant parts and nothing else. And with the archetype, you could create something over and over again. You can make one of those, you can make 1,000 of those, because it's like a machine. It describes every part, how it goes together, and how they function. And that's simplified, of course. Now, according to Jung, and he's directly quoted as saying such, depression is when the conscious mind is becoming too far removed, too different from the true self. Now, the self is not the unconscious. The self lives in the unconscious as well as other families, other places, archetypes of various kinds. The self is not the unconscious mind. It's the model for the conscious mind. Now, the conscious mind is perverted by the world and all the stresses and all the fears and all the anxieties and all the depressing things in this world. You know, going to school as a child could be positive, but could also be terrifying if you have a bully, where children in your classrooms are allowed to bully you, where you have a bad teacher, or you have a teacher that makes fun of you, laughs at you, allows other children to do negative things towards you, make fun of you, make jokes about you, humiliate you. And that's the experience for many, many people. So school could be terrifying. That's going to pervert the conscious mind and change it from being like the self or the true self. And so depression, according to Jung, is the unconscious mind taking control of the conscious mind, and forcing you down into the unconscious to spend more time with, to be influenced more heavily by the true self. And don't think for a minute that the unconscious mind doesn't have that power. Look this up if you don't believe us. Look this up. If the unconscious mind decides you're going to be blind, you're going to be blind. If it decides you're paralyzed from the waist down, you are paralyzed from the waist down. And nothing you can do, and nothing medical science can do, will change that. These are called psychosomatic disorders. That's a psychological control of a physical thing, soma. If the unconscious mind decides that you're not going to remember your name, you will not remember your name. And that is amnesia. It doesn't come from being hit in the head. It comes from the unconscious saying, hey, your life is bad. We're going to take away your name. And when we do that, we're going to take out your wallet, and we're going to take every identifying piece of information out of that wallet. We're going to keep some cash, and we're going to go to the bus station or hitchhike to whatever city the unconscious decides. And then you are going to wake up in some strange city with no money, or maybe a few dollars, no identifying marks in your wallet, in your clothing, and nothing can be done short of psychological, psychiatric intervention to get your identity back, to bring your memories back. And if they brought your children to you at that point, you would say, who are they? Would you love them? No, you don't know them. You don't remember them. This is 100% true. Look it up. It's the power of the unconscious mind, or the mind, the psyche, in totality. It's real. It's not a bad thing. If it wanted to harm you, you'd be dead. It has that much power. It would take you to the top of a high building and have you jump right off. You'd be dead. It wants to help you. It does everything to help you. Nothing to hurt you. Ever. Nothing to hurt you. Only to save you, to help you. If you've seen something terrible, maybe you saw your mother kill your father, shoot him with a shotgun. It was awful, unbearable. The unconscious mind will take that memory away from you. And when the police come and they find you sitting out on the sidewalk covered in blood, and they say, what happened? And you say, I don't know, something bad happened in there, but I don't know what. They say, well, you have blood on you. I know, I was never in there. No, I've been out here the whole time. I've been sitting on a curb. That's the reality of the mind. Now, according to Jung, when you're depressed in this life, in this world, in the conscious world, you need to become more like yourself, or the true self. And it's different for everyone, but of course, it's not a mystery. What is it you need to do? You need to move to Chicago? You need to become an Olympic skater or swimmer? What you need to do is you need to be happy. You need to do things that makes you contented, that gives you a meaningful life, which oftentimes is simply described as happy. I'm happy, I feel good. If you do certain things, you'll feel bad, and those are things you can't do. And if you do certain other things, they'll make you feel good. So, how do you cure depression? You cure it by being more true to your true self, to be more like your true self. And so your job, which you can do with the help of a therapist, or you can do on your own, not any therapist, by the way, it would be someone who's more trained in humanistic aspects of psychology. With their help, you can find out what will make you happy. Or On your own, you can find out what will make you happy. You can deal with it more. You can figure it out more. You can think about it more. Or you can just allow yourself to do it more often. Maybe working out makes you happy, but you can't do it because things aren't going well in your life and you like it too much. So you're not going to do it because you should be doing the stuff you don't want to do, which you believe, erroneously, will make you happy. But in reality, working out makes you happy. And you should do more of that. We're not suggesting that that's the only thing you need to do, but we're suggesting it will make you happier, healthier by engaging in those workouts. It will strengthen you. It will make you more who you were meant to be. And I have seen very few cases, I can't speak for everyone here, but I've seen very few cases where exercise, working out, did not help with depression. Very few cases. And while we're at it, what is depression? You might think that every psychiatrist and every psychologist knows what depression is. They all agree. It's A divided by B raised to the 10th power. No. There's no agreement as to what depression is. In the medical world, in the psychiatric world, depression is considered to be a chemical fault in the brain. Your serotonin levels are too low, or some other biochemical brain component is off. So the solution, that's physical, some physical chemical, neurotransmitters, physical chemicals are off. Got too much of this, or you don't have enough of that. The solution to a physical problem is what? Physical. Think about it. You got a physical problem? You can solve that problem by something physical, because it's a physical problem. Now, if it's a psychological problem, treating it physically is not going to cure the problem. It might make you feel better. To suggest that some drug, ingesting some artificial substance into your body, would not affect your brain if it is a psychoactive medication, whether it's legal or illegal. I mean, there are many serotonin reuptake inhibitors that are available by prescription only, and those things will increase the level of serotonin in your brain, and that should make you feel better. And it does sometimes, and sometimes it doesn't. Sometimes you have to come off it, or you can try a different one. But it's something physical. It's a chemical that's made in a laboratory to treat a physical problem. And it does, in many cases, make you feel better. Now, people that use cocaine, this is also a psychoactive chemical. And it will, in almost every case, make you feel better. That's why people use it. It's illegal. It's dangerous. It should never be used to treat depression, unhappiness, never. It's illegal. And even if it weren't illegal, it should never be used. You would find that mostly those people in the humanistic field would be very much against legal medications, only as a last resort, and always against illegal chemicals, or if you will, medications. Always. And they do interact. We know of many cases that have been attributed, many cases of mental illness, schizophrenia in particular, to hallucinogenic drugs like marijuana. And we live in an age of drug addiction, and all we hear about are addictions. People addicted to all kinds of psychoactive things. Maybe you can take it and get away with it. Maybe you can take it and it won't hurt you too much, or maybe it will take you and or maybe you can take it and it will destroy your life. Literally, you will waste your entire existence. So, if you have a psychological condition And if depression is caused in a non-physical way, it's not due to chemical imbalances in the body, then if it's not due to that, then nothing that treats that changes your chemical balance, that adds a new psychoactive chemical to your brain, nothing will help because it's not caused by that. If it is caused by a physical condition, then nothing but a physical change will help. If depression is caused by an imbalance, too much serotonin, not enough of this neurotransmitter, too much of that neurotransmitter, if that's the cause of depression, nothing short of chemical treatments will work because it's a chemical problem. However, if it is not a chemical problem and there's nothing wrong with your serotonin level, then increasing the serotonin could make you feel better. But that wasn't the cause of your depression, was it? You see what I'm saying? I mean, going out and buying some illegal drug from a guy on the corner probably make you feel better. That's why you're buying a drug. But it's not going to cure your depression. It could be destroying your life. Now, Jung says it's not caused by a physical problem. He says that. It's not caused by a chemical imbalance. Even though his friend, his associate, they really weren't close friends, but Freud loved Jung, by the way. He thought Jung was great. And if you don't believe me, read the letters written between Freud and Jung. You can buy them at any bookstore, order them from Amazon. The letters between Freud and Jung. And listen to what Freud had to say about Jung. He just loved him, called him his son. Said he was going to take over. Called him the prince. He, of course, Freud being the king, Jung being his son, the prince, who would take over. He talked about it. Freud, of course, injected cocaine. Much like Sherlock Holmes did in Dole's books. So, Jung did not. Jung did not believe it was a physical problem. He believed it was a psychological problem, and the cure for that is talk therapy. Generally, you're going to get treatment. It's going to be talk therapy, where you talk with your therapist who explains things and explains your life and explains how things should work and why you have pain in this situation. Explains all of that. Explains psychological principles that you may not be aware of. He helps you. As I said, you could do that yourself. You could try to anyway. You could see where it takes you. If you recognize what's wrong with me is I'm not leading a meaningful life. My life is wrong. Something is wrong. That's why I'm so depressed. Now, if you would be thinking about self-harm, go straight to the hospital and check yourself in. If you're thinking about hurting yourself, go right to the emergency room. They will treat you very well. Tell them what you're thinking of, self-harm, and they will protect you. They will take care of you. Just go along with the program. But if you think, no, I'm not thinking about that, I'm depressed, I'm not happy, but I'm not thinking of self-harm, then you can take the time to try to work on your own issues, to try to see the world better, to try to figure out what is making you unhappy and what you can do about changing it. And as I said, if you think about self-harm, then the experiment's over. Now you go to the hospital and protect yourself. Let them protect you. Or if you can't do it yourself, in other words, you can't figure out what's wrong, then you get help. Many people instinctively do not like to take psychoactive medication. We're not saying it's good or it's bad. I know in instances with schizophrenia, it's oftentimes the only thing that will give someone back a useful life, even if compromised. But many people don't want to take medication. In fact, that's a big problem in psychotherapy. The big problem is that people get on medications, they take them, and they're feeling better, and then they decide, hey, I'm not going to take this medication anymore because I don't like it. And then they stop taking the medication and they revert right back to the problems they had before. Get back on their medication and they want to come off. They just don't like it. And other people like drugs and they like medications and they'll take anything. But I'm telling you, a great number of people, perhaps you, are reluctant to take any medication. They're reluctant, especially a psychoactive medication, which may be changing them. They don't like the way it makes them feel. And that's the secret. And it's just that simple. Jungian secret to curing depression, and for that matter, anxiety, which oftentimes accompanies depression. The secret is to endure the pain, recognize the pain, endure it, as long as you're not threatening self-harm, or it is threatening you with urges towards self-harm, in which case you get help immediately. But if not, what you have to do is endure the pain while you work on improving the happiness in your life. The things that the self wants for you, desires for you, the behaviors, the relationships, the understanding of the world, that can always be determined by that which makes you happy. They'll be the things you dream about, the things you have urges to achieve, things that you cry over, the things that make you depressed. It's always easier with a competent therapist. Definitely get one who has a humanistic bent, humanistic trend, humanistic training. And that would be someone following a self-actualizing model, like those who work with the therapies, theories of Abraham Maslow, and of course, all Jungian people. That would include most psychoanalysts today are going to be Jungian, and certainly not that many left who are Freudian. If you have any more questions about this, write them down, put them in the comments section, email them to us, and subscribe, like, share. Why? Because it influences the algorithm that YouTube uses to decide which videos to push out, to recommend to people. And we sincerely believe our videos could help. They could help someone in college who wants to understand this better. They could help someone with psychological issues who needs to understand the world better. It can help a parent understand what their child's going through. This is why we do it. We try to help. This is Analytical Media. Please subscribe. Please take care. And we'll see you in the next video.